Hello, and welcome to Weekly Geek Speak. I'm Andrew.
I am Scott.
And I'm Steve.
You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Weekly Geek Speak. We are a weekly geekly podcast. We are here to talk comics, TV, cinema, and general geeky gubbins that we like to chat about, and we come out every week. So do subscribe, do rate us and review us if you enjoy us. Today, coming up, we will be covering news. We'll be talking to James Moroney, the co-creator of The Age, which is a really interesting comic. Actually, you can hear him later on the show. It's kind of a look at kind of X-Men kind of world where mutants have come in, the human genes have mutated, but it's more dealing with how they are accepted into society and things, and the very visuals in the comic are very interesting. You can check that out on our website. We'll have a blog post up this week, so you can have a look at what I'm talking about, but more from him later. And we'll be having some more Bumpy Goose and all the other stuff that we normally do. So how are you guys?
Sum it up in a noise, it'd be
Yeah. That good. Well, hopefully we can turn that around for you.
It's unlikely. Many have tried.
So let's try to perk him up firstly with the news of a death. Terry Pratchett did leave our mortal coil.
Sad news.
Yeah, everybody goes to Harry Potter for the fantasy book, but actually Terry Pratchett's been a lot more consistent, wrote a lot more titles, and has had a great loads of great mythoses in different worlds. I've only ever read one of his books, though. If I'm completely honest, I think Steve's probably the better one to talk to.
No, I've read two. I've only read three, I think.
But it leaves a huge legacy of novels and work and respect and love from a lot of fans. So another to Terry Pratchett. It is, yeah. It's the coffin firing out the Enterprise, floating into space as we all look forlornly at what our inevitably lies for us.
And I don't want this to become a regular section, so can people stop dying?
Yeah.
Really iconic.
Just do us a favour and stop dying.
Yeah, just if that's in your diary, just leave it for a few weeks.
Yeah, stop putting it in your diary. Things can move.
Things can move, they're changeable. Pencil it in at least.
Yeah, you
Change
can rub that out.
Coffee and a cake. Lunch.
Me and Steve were very lucky to head down and meet some of the guys nicely put on for the Pod Pals who are an indie community on Twitter. And met Stephen and Smokey and Mrs. Smokey from the HOM podcast, Ben Taylorson and Matthew Jones from the JT Movie podcast, and the luscious tones of Adam Roach from the Attaboy Clarence podcast.
I weren't allowed to meet them. I'm never allowed to meet anyone.
But in your box.
But I wanted to. They all seem really cool.
They were lovely.
They were very,
Why can't I meet them?
very nice bunch of people.
I got a little bit drunk.
Yeah.
So it was nice to meet up with them, have a few drinks,
it was.
and do check out their podcast. I believe Steve has all the Twitter handles written down there.
I believe I do.
He's lost the page.
HOM Movie Podcast at HOM Podcast, Attaboy Clarence at Attaboy C, and at JT Movie Podcast, and Mrs. Smokey at Mrs. Smokey's Movie School. Mrs. S Movie School.
Mrs. S. That would have been a long Twitter handle.
I know, Mrs. S Movie School.
So there we are. Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you all, and let's do it again sometime. But right now it's time to get on with the show. And it's time for Recommend. And Scott is going to tell us, because we need to get him all hyper and happy. Tell us.
This is not the way. Recommend is the fortnightly catch-up game we play, where we all pitch the best film we've seen in the interim forward and vote on which would be the best foot forward to recommend as a podcast. And we do the same for the bad ones with a word we've coined called decommend. And we call the section Recommend. I don't know what's happening with my voice, but I'm keeping it.
And it's working. You're gyrating your hands back and forth, and it's working with the hands on the voice.
Yeah.
It's a good combo.
So this week it's my turn to go first, and I know in recent weeks I've been trying to argue the point that it should be a recommended film and not the best film I've seen. Unfortunately, there's not much in there that either stands out to be recommended or people haven't seen in en masse before. So I do have to revert to the best film I've seen. And the reason that is because everything I'd watched up until last night was a 7 out of 10. Like I got 7 out of 10s, and I was hoping that the 8th would break the rules, and it did. And it is the absolutely sublime Oscar-winning Silence of the Lambs. It's just such a great thriller. It is like the benchmark for thrillers. It's a lot more than that as well. I mean, I love the fact that it's so focused on Clarice Starling. The shots are often of the faces of the people looking directly at her. You're in her shoes. She's all this, not misogyny, but the pressure of a male-dominated police force is always on her back, and she's often on her own. She's quite small in her stature, and this plays as well with all the big fellas standing around her, and she's dealing with this horrible outbreak of crimes. And it turns out that the most terrifying person is the one that she can actually relate to most in this situation. It's Hannibal Lecter. They kind of play games with each other, trying to find out who Buffalo Bill is, and it's a real chess game throughout. Meanwhile, you've got this horrible Buffalo Bill character going about his murderous business underground, the horrible nature of humanity going on there, and you kind of feel that you never really know with Hannibal Lecter if he actually knows who this person is, whether he's just is that clever that he's worked it out, or even if he's just stringing everyone along for his own means, which he is, but then he kind of isn't either. I think it's such a good film. I think Jodie Foster really it's the best performance I think I've ever seen her. Anthony Hopkins is truly terrifying as Hannibal Lecter. I think Ted Levine is brilliant as Buffalo Bill. Some fantastic scenes in there with him. It's just stacked with great performances. It's got this really horrible tone throughout of it, but a completely roller coaster at the same time. The whole bit with the whole in the dark with the night vision goggles on, and he can see her, and it's always like she's almost always the victim, but she's powering through to get to this point. I think it's just such a good film. It's actually much better than I remembered it. It's a 9 out of 10 because I watched Red Dragon and I thought that was really good, and then I wanted to watch Silence of the Lambs again, and it's I like Red Dragon, but this is something else. This is a really great film and deserved to win.
Do you know when I told you off air I keep getting criticised today? I'm literally now getting text about how bad I am at Sonic 3.
Oh no!
It's like people are starting to seek me out to criticise me.
Oh God!
I'm just having a day today.
Hide it.
The problem is,
soon my mum's going to text me like, "You were always a crap child.
You were the worst." But in Sonic 3, I've watched the videos. Sonic's a fickle game.
Oh yeah,
it's you. There's an element of risk in there. You go 900 miles an hour. You know something bad's going to happen.
And it's difficult to play a game you've not played in 15 years whilst talking. It's harder than it sounds or looks.
Well, I watch those videos because I enjoy listening to you play.
And I get better, people.
Anyway, now Scott, what is your recommend of the week? You've had a really good streak actually. You've won the past 2 rounds after not winning for 12 weeks.
I think that's over. I've watched 2 films.
Hey!
Makes it easy for you.
Yeah, I watched Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6.
Ooh.
The Marvel and Disney production. It's really good and it's really strong, and you will absolutely fall in love with Baymax and want him to be your new friend and just hug you forever. As you never leave your house because everyone criticises you when you do. But it just lacks a little, I don't know what, je ne sais quoi, to make it an absolute bona fide classic of any kind.
Right.
Because it's a bit Mad Rush in terms of the team and all the rest. But it starts strong. It's got a completely lovable character in there, and it's just full of cool, funny stuff, like you'd expect probably of this sort of animated fare. and it's just more of Disney's little mini revival at the minute. It's not quite hit the height of Frozen, but it's very strong indeed, and I'd recommend it.
Cool. So that brings us to Steve. What is your recommend?
My recommend. I finally managed an outing to the cinema, and it's something that I didn't really know a lot about. So I went in quite open-minded, and it's a beautiful film. It's Whiplash. Miles Teller plays a drummer in a music academy, and basically J.K. Simmons is, I think I read in one review, sums him up perfectly, scary jazz dad. And basically he's a drummer trying to make his way into this prestigious band, and J.K. Simmons is absolutely terrifying, and the pure emotion and the way it comes across in the film is just incredible. And then reading all the trivia afterwards just made me love it even more. The soundtrack's good. It's beautifully shot. It's a really strong, thumping jazz soundtrack. It doesn't let up, and it's just an incredible film. And I'm really glad that it's one that I just randomly went to see, because it would have slipped under my radar completely. It won Oscars, and rightly so, for the sound design and the thing. The guy had never really done the editing, and it was incredible. I think it was shot in 29 days. And there's I found it yesterday, there's a 17-minute short film online that you can watch for free that the guy was desperate to make, so he submitted that to Sundance to go, look, this is what I want to make, and got 3 points.
J.K. Simmons was in that.
Yeah, the only person that wasn't in that from this one was Miles Teller. They replaced the character, and they got 3.3 million to make it, and they shot it in 29 days. But it is just incredible, and I would thoroughly recommend the cinema job, because you were immersed in it, and the sound is beautiful, and it's one of those things that's just and it's pure emotion, and the story really captures my imagination. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's a dilemma, and it's a nice one that you kind of, a lot of films now you kind of get that sort of nicely wrapped up little package, and this kind of leaves you pondering, well, what would you have done if you were in that situation, kind of thing. So thoroughly recommend it. It was a strong 9, and it still is.
Good stuff, very strong and
yeah, definitely.
So I vote first. I have Whiplash from Steve and Big Hero 6 from Scott. Now I watched Big Hero 6 as well.
Yay.
I think I completely agree with you. I think the first act is brilliant. You fall in love with the characters. I mean, Baymax is so lovable, just as you'd expect Disney to create. You know, the relationship with the brothers is really nice and sweet and everything. And then it just became something I think felt like I've seen a lot. You know, it felt very formulaic from that point. Yeah, I'd seen it all before. Nothing new happened. It fell into all the tropes of that kind of Disney movie. If you'd sat Big Hero 6 and then The Incredibles next to each other, and you heard my feelings on The Incredibles a few weeks ago when we did the Pixar Mom thing, I would actually pick The Incredibles, because I just think there's a little bit more going on, whereas Big Hero 6 is very good, 7 out of 10. It's one of my many 7s this week, but it doesn't quite reach the point it should, I feel. It could have gone further, it could have been something a bit better, but it decided to play it safe, and it played it safe, and it is still a very good film. It's very watchable. I don't quite see the 9s, 10s out that's been throwing around at the moment, but each to their own. It's a great film, and it's adding to a consistency from Disney with this new animated thing. They're all up there. It's just not quite what I was expecting it to be. It could have been more.
Definitely. I agree. Fist bump. Dylan.
Whiplash, on the other hand, is something. A positive that's come out of the Oscars, I guess, is it made me want to see it, not because I want to see a quote-unquote Oscar film, but because I knew Foxcatcher and this and that came out, and there's a lot to choose from, and you probably don't see them until they come out. But then sometimes something catches you. It's the same with Her when that was being thrown around, and I was like, I actually really want to see that one. And the more I hear about Whiplash, the more I want to see it. And the very fact it earns those technical awards, the editing and the sound design, that really excites me more than... because it's the craft of the film. Yeah. It makes me excited. And I love J.K. Simmons anyway, from back in his old days through to now. So I'm very happy to hear that, and I think I do have to go Whiplash in this situation because hopefully it delivers on what I hope, which Big Hero 6 didn't. I don't know if I articulated that properly, but
That worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
which means Steve votes next now, Mr. Stephen.
Yeah.
He goes Silence of the Lambs
Now,
or Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6 is getting a lot of love at the minute, and there's lots of 10 out of 10s, and there are lots of people going, and it's hard to avoid hearing about it. And it saddens me to hear that both of you are, I'd recommend it, but it's just not quite,
we're not
quite there in terms of what it...
We don't mean to play it down. It's good, and you'll like it.
Oh yeah, but it just saddens me a little bit that it's like, so it's a tough call because I haven't seen it and I really want to. But do I throw that out into something that's already big and out there and hyped? And
It's more.
Or do
it's more. I'd say it's just a shade off being a bona fide classic.
Right.
It's still really good.
Okay.
It's just it felt like it could easily have been better if it
Right.
didn't easily fall into a little trap after setting up its stall incredibly well.
Okay.
A bit like Captain America syndrome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely
All
agree
right.
with that.
But then you got on the other hand, you've got the Silence of the Lambs, which is an absolute classic. I wouldn't go so far as a 9, but then I haven't seen it for years. But I think 9, from my opinion, is probably a bit higher than I would go. But again, it is an absolute classic that still holds up to this day, and spawned the sequels, and the books are good, and they're worth, the whole sort of universe is worth buying into and reading more about. So, tough shout. Silence of the Lambs, because the whole universe is out there, and if you have seen Silence of the Lambs and you enjoyed it, and you haven't seen Manhunter and Rise and all the other ones, go out and dig those out and see them. And I'm gonna see Big Hero 6 this week, and I really want to watch it and form an opinion. It just saddens me that you're both enthusiastic about it, but you're a bit. It's not quite what it
I think you're reflecting on the negative side of it.
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
You should be.
Yeah,
'Cause especially now, you'll really like it because you'll be like, why were we
going
so
wrong.
negative?
Okay.
Because I don't think it's particularly negative.
No.
It's great. It's a great film. It's just, I think the problem is they've thrown out so many great films recently
consistently
that this is just not quite on the mark. But at the same time, it's not far off the mark at all.
Oh no, it's definitely not. It's by no stretch of any imagination is it remotely anything less than quite very good. It's just felt like
it's missing that little.
You start watching it, you think, oh, it's going to be great. And
Yeah.
it just don't quite.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
So,
Cool.
will Scott decide to go with skinning the flesh off young women, or will he go for smashing a drum while hitting someone on the head, going drum harder?
Why do you assume that's mutually exclusive? Where do you think drum skins come from?
Wow.
Exactly. Whiplash. You know what it's like come that sort of time of year when all the sort of mid-range budgeted Oscar-basing films come out, and there's about 82 of them, and then the nominations come out and everyone swarms to watch whatever, and most of them just wash over you because they're all much of a muchness, or they fail to stand out in that's the one someone's playing, that's the biopic one,
Yeah.
that's the disease one, that's the World War II one.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's got all three, that might win. You know what it's like.
Agree.
And but every so often you get one, and you just get this little sort of tickle in the back of your head that goes, "That's the one I'll probably like actually," because it seems to have come out of nowhere, and it's a bit left field for this, and it. And for a lot of people that might have been Burn Man this year, but having already watched that, it was Whiplash that I was like, I'm going to watch. That's the one I'm going to end up watching at some point. So I'm pleased to hear you really enjoyed it, because I know you have a resistance to a film that's a bit, if it felt like it was trying a bit hard to be whatever.
Yeah.
The
Oscar bait syndrome that you've just alluded to, that whole sort of another film like that. Yeah, it's that time of year. But it did.
So that gives me great heart, and I will definitely watch that. However, I can never. Very few cases am I going against Silence of the Lambs, because I think it, in a similar way, people might cite Die Hard as like the action film. Or Singing in the Rain, the musical. Maybe Sound of Music, I don't know. Depends who you're talking to. Depends who you're
Sound of
talking to.
Music.
That's the thriller for me. It's just got everything about it, and it's just I just love it for so many different angles, and appreciate something new about it every single time I've watched it. And it's not a horror film; it's as close as a horror film's come to getting any sort of Oscar attention. So it's so I like that about it. And Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter, is he's quite literally one of the most iconic movie villains ever. He's up there with Darth Vader and the Joker.
One thing I picked up on it was how cleverly it uses its gore. It doesn't gorehound by any stretch. It puts that image there. You see it in the side of a shot. You see a shot of it for a few seconds, and that leaves more of an impact and makes it feel scarier, more terrifying in your heart than showing somebody with their face smushed in. To see the guy hung up on the cage, I think, is you only see it in it through the frosted window, and then as you move through the and it cuts away. It doesn't need to dwell on it. It's a terrifying image. He's all about creating pieces of art, even in death. You know, and then you counter that with Buffalo Bill's victims lay on a slab with bits cut off them, and again it's just in a one quick shot, and it feels necessary. It's not dwelling on those bits, but it's showing them to really kind of cement the terribleness of the situation.
Haunting. It's how you'd look at it if you were there. You'd look away.
Exactly.
But that film made me watch Manhunter, Red Dragon, Hannibal Rising, the Hannibal TV show. It's made me consider reading.
Wow!
Whoa!
No, I read. I'm joking, but like, it's just absolutely one of the great classics. So it's that easily.
Cool. Gets the recommend, and we move on to decommend, and we'll start with me. And I'm actually going to do something that I feel a bit bad for. But out of all of the all of the sevens that I saw, one was a 7 because it went down a little in my estimations. And this was Apocalypse Now, which might seem sacrilegious. It might seem, because it's supposed to be one of the greatest Vietnam films. Actually, when I watched it, you can tell that there was 10 million issues in making this film. You know, you could tell that it feels like it lacks something that, say, Platoon or The Thin Red Line or the other like Vietnam films and this kind of era. It just seems to lack something, and I can't quite put my finger on it. It feels more of like a Martin Sheen gets a mission, and then we travel to that mission, and there's a series of events in the way, and not much else really goes on there. I've wanted to explore a little more into the conflict, a little bit more, but it's got some great sequences. It's got some brilliant, like the whole helicopter scene with the music blasting out, that great kind of juxtaposition of the schoolgirls leaving the school and running away, and then suddenly these proud Americans flying over and destroying everything carelessly. But also it shows how it works, that how misled the troops were in the Vietnam conflict. You come across groups of soldiers who have no idea what's going on, and this is why you understand that Marlon Brando's character can kind of control these soldiers and this renegade bunch so well. And that's great, that comes across. It just feels there is something lacking, you know. But again, very big Hero 6. I feel very bad bringing it here. It's great. It's a great film, but perhaps doesn't quite hit the bar from what I like in that kind of film. So it's a hugely reluctant decommend, and it's the only because I've watched a lot of consistently good films. You know, it's a 7 out of 10. That's a good film. It just doesn't quite hit the notes for me. In this one. Also, on a side note, which doesn't play good or bad, it does feel like a Sin City kind of narrative with Martin Sheen as he speaks over it, because it's very gruff, and every now and then he talks about things in a very gruff way, and it just made me think of Sin City. Great film. Sadly, not as great as I remembered it, and that's purely why I brought it. I had a tough choice. So that's mine. Sorry, everyone. But Scott, what's yours?
Mine will be more controversial than yours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because mine is the Flintstones and the WWE Stone Age SmackDown.
Oh no!
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I know you all
Whoa
like...
there.
I know, I'm sorry.
Scott.
I know it's one of your favourites, Steve.
Scott.
I know you love these weird sort of Hanna-Barbera WWE tie-ins.
I'm all
Is this
over
this year's one? Is this a new
Yeah,
one?
do you know, like, I watched Scooby-Doo.
The Scooby-Doo
and
one
the
last year.
WrestleMania. I wanted to watch... I don't know why I watch them. It's just because I like wrestling, and then I get weirdly intrigued.
Yeah.
How did they make this work, first of all?
How did they make it work? They didn't.
Oh,
Is it a feature length, like full?
Oh, do you mean the plot? Or do they...
What's the...
Well, they're just their sort of caveman equivalents.
Mm.
So instead of John Cena, he's called John Cena Stone.
oh God!
And
Wow.
CM Punk is CM Punk Rock. And the Undertaker's just the Undertaker. They didn't even
They
try.
still have Undertakers back.
Yeah, they're probably
evidently. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Basically, Fred Flintstone happens upon pro wrestling. He happens to create it,
Okay.
and Vince McMahon buys it off him at the end.
Wow.
But it's like have you ever watched the Looney Tunes show? It's how they try to bring the Looney Tunes back,
Right.
And it's basically you can tell the animation's a lot more modern, but they're trying desperately to evoke when it used to be really good.
Right. Okay.
And the animation's very like that. Like
Right.
it's trying too hard to look like it was, whilst being incredibly more modern.
Right. Okay.
Meanwhile, all the voices are really off, and the characters are slightly off. So Barney, oh my god, he's
Yeah.
just this weird, high-pitched, like idiot, like.
Oh no.
And then it's just all this weird, gratuitous, like WWE stuff. And then this is the bit that really upset me the most. At one bit, one's playing on his phone and the other's playing on a tablet. Like, I
Right.
get the whole, like, animals and machines
Yeah.
thing. And I've even, over the years, accepted, alright, you got television somehow.
Yeah.
But
then,
a tablet and a phone.
right.
The
that
phone's
doesn't-
literally a clam he's opened up and he's just pressing. You never look at it. And then the tablet's got, like, a game on it. And you're like, what?
How
Just
is
because it's
that?
made of rock, don't
Yeah.
mean that could have... It ruins the illusion for me.
Oh,
Weird.
I
very.
didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Don't have tablets and phones in there.
No.
I don't know why that's the line, but it is.
Yeah.
It is
yeah.
the line.
There's got to be something that tipped it.
And it's just really, really bad. And it's about 50 minutes long. It's worse than the Scooby-Doo one. It's worse.
Oh wow.
It's worse than that.
Okay.
Because I didn't like... I just didn't like it at all.
Okay.
So sorry to bring the controversy, because I know how you
Rain the
guys
pain.
feel about
Rain the,
cheap cartoon tie-ins.
Steve,
I love them.
what are you bringing to bring this odd collection for
Yeah.
Demand?
So mine is the taking of Deborah Logan.
The Taking of Deborah Logan.
Yeah.
I'm sure I thought you'd find something weird off Netflix.
Well, it's one that Pete Bushbar at Popular Outcast had sort of recommended on one of his 3-word reviews recently and said it was really good. Well, I said it'd given it quite a high score, I think. I thought, go on then, fine, someone's reviewed it rather than me just picking a random Netflix-based horror. And I haven't bought a random Netflix horror for a while. So the premise is this film crew turn up at this lady's house and they've arranged with her to start filming her mother because she's got this advanced Alzheimer's and they're headed to research and document this and sort of follow a documentary and work with these surgeons to find out more about it so that they can record it. And so they set up all the cameras in the house and they do all the research and the things, and then things start to go a bit funny, and then it's kind of just a almost sort of look, scary cameras, people running around, and it's a bit Blair Witchy towards the end. And I've seen it all before. And I wanted it to be something slightly different because going into it, the premise was kind of like, all right, okay, let's see how they're going to pull this off. And then they pull it off by getting some really annoying film student characters just running through the woods and running around going, and it all goes shaky cam, and it sets it up quite nicely and then ruins it by just going, let's allude to all the other films that we're kind of being, and it's like, let's be Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch and cut to that creepy little camera and then run around and then cut back to it. Nah, just didn't work, unfortunately. It wasn't really bad. I mean, it's a 5, possibly a 6. I didn't sat there seething at the end of it, but it was like, nah, there's my decommend. I've watched a string of pretty good films. Tick, decommend done. And I feel, it's just a shame. I should stop watching silly horror films on Netflix, but yeah.
I thought you were going to say I should stop watching films. Like,
that's my.
It's not that bad.
It's put me off. No.
2 hours of your life.
So there we go. An odd bunch. Let's get to voting. I've got the Flintstones and the WWE Showdown and
Stone Age SmackDown.
Okay.
Don't get confused.
Okay.
With the others.
And the taking of Debbie Logan. I've put. Because that was my shorthand. Both movies I don't really think I'll ever see.
What about one?
No.
But it's got Mark Henry in it, and he's called Marble Henry.
Marble.
Oh.
Well, you may have sold me there. I think with the found footage, every time I seem to go, the premise sounds okay, from reading 4 lines on Netflix, like Devil's Pass, which I brought.
Yeah.
And then actually it's naff, and I haven't seen a good one for years, so I don't know why I even bother anymore.
I know. I don't know why I did.
Creep was good at the celluloid screens.
Creep
That's slightly different, but still nothing to shout about. But nothing sounds more rubbish than watching Fred Flintstone running around with some wrestlers, and I can just imagine how cringy it is.
It was really bad. I had to watch it all, obviously.
So I'm sorry, I'm chucking the Flintstones down. Bye, Flintstones, your wrestle pants.
I feel like I've brought Flintstones on about 3. Some
You have bought it 3 times now.
People
for
will
acknowledgement.
think I'm this huge Flintstones mark, which I'm really not.
Scott is actually dressed in kind of
as Fred Flintstone.
Flintstone.
They're literally the only 3 Flintstones things I think I've ever properly watched. But I brought them all.
Well, there you go.
They all made me feel.
Yeah, gave you some feels.
You get to vote now, Scott. Apocalypse Now or the taking of Debbie Magoo?
I'm really sorry.
Debbie
I can't even dream of putting Apocalypse Now in. It's far too iconic, and it has to be viewed in context of the time it was made and stuff. Although I always prefer Heart of Darkness about it than the film. I only ever watched it once. I can see why it probably doesn't live up to a second watch, because I've never bothered myself. But it's too iconic, and it's too Marlene Brando's performance alone, and a lot of just the scenes that have been homaged and stolen and satired and parodied over the years alone makes it like you just can't. Whereas I've never heard of your film and I'm never going to watch it.
Nope.
So I can almost with a guiltless conscience get rid of that, because it won't affect me ever.
I'm not taking
And even if people
anywhere.
go, oh, but it's brilliant, you shouldn't have done that, I'll be like, but I've never remotely heard of it or going to watch it, so it's
Do
fine.
not blame you.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that, because it would be a travesty if Apocalypse Now was to go in, but Steve might still put it in. Apocalypse Now or the Flintstones have a little wrestle.
I think, as Scott articulated far better than I can, it is just, I've seen it once and I ticked a box to say I'd seen it, but it was like wow, and then you don't realise over the years and years and years all the times that it has been referenced and homaged and parodied and nods to it, and it's influenced so many other films. So regardless of how it is now on a rewatch, it's at its time it was a peak of, it was the ultimate war film, and it's an incredible film. From what I remember, I don't think I would go back and watch it again. Maybe I'd watch Heart of Darkness. I didn't know that existed.
I think
it's like a documentary
about
it.
I'm scared now it's not called Heart of Darkness. Joe, when you get that weird, you're 99% sure, but as soon as you say it, you think someone's going to attack you, because they've been criticised all day.
Right. It's
a documentary about the making of it.
So you've sold that.
It was famously much troubled production.
It was. Yeah.
So I'd quite like to watch that, having got this memory of it in my head. But again, I can't document that. Whereas the Flintstones, it's not sold, I'm afraid. But you said The Undertaker's still called The Undertaker, which made me go, oh wait, but
it's the last thing that CM Punk did with the WWE. For that alone.
I know, but
and I love CM Punk.
And I like my short films, so 50 minutes. You sell, you that's two good things, but I'm afraid
Oh, you're totally right.
I just can't do it.
It's so bad, I almost wanted to recommend it.
What, like
Do you ever get there?
Flintstones fair? Good. Well, I'm really glad that Apocalypse Now hasn't been thrown down there. It's weird when you watch so many films and there isn't a bad one, and that's the first time I've been. I know you guys have been in that situation before, but that was weird.
It's good. Like it sounds like heresy when you have to do it.
Yeah.
But it means you've had a good time. So
Yeah.
don't blame me.
But yeah, so your recommend this week is Silence of the Lambs, Clarice, and your decommend is the Flintstones put their wrestle pants on and roll around on the floor.
No.
Yeah.
Try
The
again.
Simpsons
What?
in
You're already
The
wrong.
Simpsons.
You're already wrong.
sorry, the Flintstones in TNA Impact.
That's a completely different company.
Oh, the Flintstones in.
It's time for the news.
Yay.
We have confirmed Toy Story 4 will be separate to the original trilogy. It's going to be more of a love story, a romantic comedy, and won't put much focus on the interaction between the characters and children, so it's going to take a completely different direction.
So it's a
Because
spin-off, basically.
All the people worked on it don't want to soil that trilogy, but they want to make another film.
Okay.
So here's a spin-off.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But why are we calling it Toy Story 4 then?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to associate it with those three because it's a lovely trilogy.
but we will
we've
call
found
it
this-
the fourth one.
But we've written this awesome script that's made us actually want to go, yeah, okay, we do want to make another film, but we don't want to associate it with those ones. So put a 4 on
There's
the
a
end.
lot of
Well-
trying to have your cake and eat it
Yeah.
too at the minute in Hollywood, and it's a bit like, look, I'm not going to agree with everything you do, but I will respect the fact you're doing it. Just stop pansying around. Like, I don't want them to do a fourth one, but if you're doing it, do it. Don't tell me you're not, and then do it anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like that's what the Ghostbusters do. Like, I thought it sounded gimmicky, but I respected them for carrying on. But now they're like, but there's also men.
There's all men.
And then now I respect them less.
Yeah.
So it's like WrestleMania, right? They stuck with Roman Reigns, and I begrudgingly respect it, even though I wanted Daniel Bryan. You know what I'm saying, don't you?
Know what you're saying. Frozen 2 is 100% confirmed. Disney hasn't made a proper sequel since the 1990s Rescuers Down Under. If you don't include all the DVD ones, that was the only film they've made a sequel to.
Fantasia 2000.
Ooh. Okay.
Yep.
Was that a sequel, or was that just was that the first one just redone, modernised?
Well, when I got the question of can you name the two released sequels?
Oh, okay.
That was the first one.
Oh,
I got,
wow.
and it was true.
No. Okay.
The same.
Okay.
Just
okay. But yeah, the full cast and crew will return. There's no release date, but they have confirmed it's happening.
The best
Which?
Disney sequel is Lion King 2.
Yes.
We all know that.
Yeah. Fully agree.
Yeah, it's got a great song in as well. But Frozen 2, I think they've got a good property. It worked. I think it was inevitable after the success that we were going to get a sequel. You can't look at an opportunity like that
No.
and not expect it. Will it be as good as Frozen? I doubt it.
No.
Will it be a nice return? Hopefully. I can't really see how they can make it crap, to be honest.
No.
It's
There's nothing. We're watching it. They win.
Yeah.
So
And by
the
all
whole-
accounts, Frozen Fever, a lot of people have given it a really highly respected score and said it's a nice welcome return. It's nice to see the cast. It's nice to see something a little bit different. You get what you expect from it, and it's just a nice little nod to this world still carrying on over here somewhere, and it's all right, and it doesn't feel like they've just shoehorned it in front of Cinderella, which I was kind of a bit.
My caution from them would be the reason that film worked was the incredibly strong songs, the sort of modern approach to fairy tale storytelling. They subverted a lot of conventions, and their central relationships. So if they keep that formula, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But also, the Frozen felt like it did all of those things without trying too hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It did it naturally, and it wasn't like, I am making a point. It was just going,
Here's a really
here it is,
well-written
this is how it is, this
story.
is the story.
Yeah.
Like if they I'm scared they might try too hard to have another Let It Go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like just do songs, and one will catch on if they're good.
Yeah.
Just don't worry.
Definitely.
Has there ever been as successful musical sequel? What do you think of that? If nobody said Grease 2.
Cool Rider. Told you this.
Yeah.
Because I can't honestly
Rider.
think of one
Yeah.
other than obviously Grease 2.
Grease
which I've
2
seen.
is better than the first. We all know that. It's just science.
Yeah.
Scientific fact. Just ask Einstein. He invented space.
He did.
Don't know what I'm talking about.
Moving on, Clerks 3 will begin shooting in May. The long-mooted project Hit Something will shoot in September to December this year, and then Moose Jaws, the final film in the horror trilogy by Kevin Smith, will film early next year. And then he's moving on to Mallrats 2. The man is unstoppable.
That's what I read. Unnecessary. But he's got a weird lease for someone who was retiring a few films ago. He's got a weird lease on life.
Yeah.
It's typical Kevin Smith, though, isn't it? He was very of his emotions. If he's down, the world's awful, and you won't do anything ever again. And then all of a sudden, things are working, so he's going for it. And then I love the guy, but Mallrats 2 seems a step too far for me.
Yeah.
But is he just catering for an audience he knows he has? It'll be a low budget, nothing thing.
Little nod to like Clerks 2, maybe.
But how many little nods and returns can you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like he kind of tried to sew up that universe, and then he keeps returning with Clerks. But that in itself has its own sort of arc, in that it was his first film and helped. I
can see a point in Clerks 3.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't see a point in Mallrats 2.
Yeah.
And then if he starts going, Chasing Amy 2, no.
It's almost like he's trying to revisit a bit of his glory. Whereas I like his new direction personally.
Yeah.
I want more of that.
Well, Yogo's as a Moose Jaws, I mean, I'm really intrigued by.
But also, by the very nature of Kevin Smith, at least 2 of these films probably won't happen.
Yeah.
You know what
probably.
it's like, because he moots ideas and then forgets about them or shelves them. He's so kind of all over the place with what he actually ends up doing. And I'm not being down on the guy. I think he's great, but history shows.
I don't think that's special to him. I just think he's that open and honest about everything about his life that we know. So when things fall through, we're like, oh, you were meant to do that. But that happens with every director and actor.
They're just a bit more.
Good luck to him.
Saying that, I'd watch them all.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd be all over.
So he wins.
Exactly. I'd be all over him. Okay, so more sequel. The Naked Gun reboot won't be the same kind of spoof the others were. Ed Helms as Lieutenant Frank Drebin. Frank Zucker has said they're going to use the title and they're nice people, but the new Naked Gun will be very different. And it kind of begs the question, what's the point?
Because of the title recognition.
Yeah, but...
At least they are honest about it. We just want the title to sell a comedy film.
Saying that, 21 Jump Street. And it's
brilliant.
But that is a big tongue-in-cheek film version of a slightly tongue-in-cheek cult show. It's not the same as a wildly cult and classic comedy spoof.
Iconic Frank Drebin.
That with someone who was so good at that character.
Yeah.
Like, I know people who call him Frank Drebin rather than Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah. I just did that.
It's not going to succeed. As sure as I've ever said this when you've told me a film, that's not going to succeed.
It's not. Zoolander 2, we've mentioned it in the news before, has been officially confirmed when Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson turned up as Derek Zoolander and Hansel at the Paris Fashion Week and strutted their stuff on the catwalk, and then followed an announcement with the Mayor of Rome that Zoolander 2 was happening. So
I mean,
to see them throwing blue steel all over the place again.
Again, I think we touched on it a few weeks ago, but I think this will be what Anchorman 2 was to Anchorman, a nice return. The thing is, not being mean, but it does sound mean, Ben Stiller's aged a lot. I can't quite see how, if he's still meant to be a model, how he's supposed to be a model.
But that was kind of the joke to the first one, that he clearly shouldn't be a model.
True. But then I hear that it's about him dealing with his fat son or something. I don't know. It'll probably be fine. I'm not against it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked for Anchorman. I see that it was a very similar property, I guess. I don't love it as much as Anchorman, but I think I'll probably watch it, to be honest.
Yeah, up there. Chris Pine is being floated around as a potential for the new Green Lantern standalone movie in 2020, but there's still the matter of the Justice League movies. Rapper Common was once cast as Green Lantern in a project that never came to fruition, and has said in an interview recently that he'd love to play Jon Stewart, and that I was one of those things where I was so excited because we rarely see an African American superhero or people of colour as a superhero, and I think it would be great for the world to see that and for kids to be able to see superheroes of all nationalities.
There's a lot of contradicting rumours because we don't know which Green Lantern it's going to be. I do think smart money is on Jon Stewart simply because it will help remove it from the other Green Lantern film by virtue of it being a different character. Yeah. Also, a lot of people of our generation, a bit younger, grew up on the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited cartoon, which that Green Lantern was Jon Stewart. And obviously, in a crass way, it helps diversify the team.
Right.
Though I don't think that's a problem, seeing as you've got like a Polynesian Aquaman and Cyborg. I personally am rooting for Chris Pine because my favourite Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. I think he's the most interesting character with the most going on. And I always found Jon Stewart really, 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 really boring.
Okay.
But I'm half expecting Jon Stewart. But I won't lie, I'm team Chris Pine. And on the point of more multicultural superheroes, that's true. We should make more.
Yes. Cool. I can see Chris Pine doing that role as well. I don't know why, I can just see him in it.
I think it's perfect. As soon as I read that, I got really excited going. Firstly, because Hal Jordan, because it's the first Hal Jordan rumour I'd heard.
Yeah.
I'd almost resigned myself, and then just the perfect casting. But I'm hoping. I know Jeff Johns, Hal Jordan's clearly Jeff Johns' favourite, and he's kind of the big talk to him DC guy for Hollywood. So I'm hoping I get what I want. Hoping Ryan Reynolds hasn't ruined Hal Jordan.
Cool. We shall see. Indie filmmaker Diablo Cody has been hired by Sony to write the Barbie movie and give it a legitimately contemporary tone. That's the only details we've had so far.
I want to make fun of that, but this reminds me of Lego the movie.
Yeah.
Not quite the same.
Yeah. But we shall see.
But when we were all like, Lego the movie?
What?
Facebook
the movie?
Yeah. It's one of them.
Is it going to be live action or animated?
Yeah, live action.
Live action.
As far as I know, yeah.
Because I don't think you can
with the Dolls movie.
I'm not sure. There's not much
that
detail.
Could be cool
There's speculation, but that's the only concrete.
Because my concern would be, Toy Story did Barbie and Ken so well. Yeah. I love Barbie and Ken and Toy Story. Yeah. And the other thing is, if it is live action and she's a real person, it just looking at Legally Blonde or something, you know. And I think it could work, but you've already had some great depictions of Barbie and things. But you know what? The Lego movie, I was scratching my head at how it could be done, and then it came out and it was amazing. Yeah. You know, so maybe Barbie can work.
They've got the right writer though, because I think to modernise that, you need to make her a lot more strong and interesting. Because growing up, Barbie was offensive.
Yeah.
So
she's still got that.
Well, there's still a bit of that going on, but
this might be the relaunch she needs.
Yeah, so we'll see. And make it sort of suitable for everyone.
Yeah.
Don't aim it just at girls, because that's partly what the problem is.
Yeah. Definitely. Captain America Civil War has added Jeremy Renner to its cast, and he will continue to play Hawkeye. He will also join Chadwick Boseman in his debut as Black Panther.
Well, everyone, because he seemed very uncommitted and stuff. The rumours like, he died.
Yeah, there's rumours that he was going to...
Those rumours have been happening for ages. If anything, I won't be surprised if this is a slight red herring.
Okay. Yeah, so
I got that impression, because I was like...
It's speculation, so it's not spoilers. We haven't got a clue. We should stress.
And you also, even you've always got to be aware that, especially in a Marvel movie, they're going to do it true to the comics. Anyone can come back.
Yeah. And Joss Whedon, if he doesn't kill someone, he like breaks out in hives. Trust me, I've watched all his work. He has to kill
He needs
someone.
to kill someone.
He has to. He's got it in his blood. Someone has to die. So
No, Coulson went and came back. Didn't
Yeah.
who's the most dispensable? I'm afraid.
Yeah.
It's okay.
he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not, because I've not seen enough of it. Him, and I think he could turn up some cool places in the future. But we'll see. At the minute, let's take him by the word.
Yeah.
He's going to be in that. That's cool. You need a lot of people in that.
Definitely.
I think it was, I don't know if Andy Horn put it in his blog that we'll be talking about later, but it's almost at the point that it would be nice if they dropped the Captain America from it and just called it Marvel Civil War or something. Make it a standalone moment.
It depends, because if it's predominantly Captain America's film, should we?
Well, we don't know which direction it's going to go,
No.
but there's something quite powerful of actually going ahead and not using the team or the name or the character as and just being brave.
Marvel.
And I always think, colloquially speaking, what will people call it? They're already calling this Civil War. It's going to be Civil War. No one's going to go, are you watching Captain America 3? Colon,
It's
Civil
how,
War?
no, that's how you work out the nerdy fans from the people who just like watching movies. You know, the proper fans go Civil War. Oh, that Captain America 3 is going to have Iron Man in it, fighting him in it. You know, you know where you stand. That's a great way of actually starting a conversation. Are you looking forward to Civil War? Captain America 3.
Yeah, like no one's saying, oh, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
It's Batman vs Superman.
It's just Batman v Superman. That extra bit,
We just don't need.
we edit it off.
EastEnders actor Sam Strike has landed the role of Leatherface in a movie of the same name, an origin story set in a mental institution in the 70s with a teenage Leatherface who, along with other inmates, breaks out and goes on the run.
Sounds just terrible,
Doesn't it? It sounds horrendous.
Why? What? Leatherface.
Who did Sam Strike play in EastEnders?
He's just a cheeky
that-
little... I don't know, just a cheeky little Cockney lad, and he's like, "Way from EastEnders." He's not. He doesn't look very old.
In the first
either.
film, Leatherface is a glumphing, massive, disabled guy.
Exactly.
He's not a kooky teen who has personality disorder and is going to go and kill people. He's just a giant monster
He's been kept in a
that has
basement.
been kept in a basement and being brought up. There's just a terrible, sad story in there.
Yeah.
But he thinks it's okay to go and chop people up. He can't speak. He just runs around squealing. You know, I don't want to see him being psychoanalyzed. The very fact that the Leatherface family have been in the back arse of nowhere and no one's ever known about them, that's the beauty of that.
Yep.
And the more crappy sequels you make explaining Mike Myers as a little fat kid, just go away!
It's
Stop
how
it!
deeply ignorant, backwards people outside of society, what can happen, isn't it? It's like the ultimate Black Mirror sort of thing. It's not, what if a cheeky chappy kills a few peeps?
It's like, that psycho. What did his insane dad go? Oh, my son's acting a bit weird today. No.
But in fairness, it is possible this could be good, because just because you're in Soap don't mean you're bad, because every
I'm
other
not.
Hollywood actor's been in Neighbours.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not just the idea
The
of
premise is the bad thing, not the
it.
acting.
Little picture of him, and it's like, hey, it's like Leatherface, and you look at the two and go, what? And then read the plot and think, what? No, really?
I had that impression as well. I was just sticking up for
no.
what's it called?
Completely.
Sam Strike.
Sam Strike, yeah. No, but it made me want to watch EastEnders now. I'm intrigued.
Just
to see who he is and what he does, but yeah.
I bet he owned the Vic at some point. Everyone's owned the Vic.
But he was only 12. But
The Vic or the calf.
By the way, you owned the Vic yesterday. What's going on?
You what?
You what? You want a cup of tea?
You what? I've got a secret I'll tell you in 4 episodes.
What?
Oh, not 4 episodes, about 94 episodes.
But you'll find out in the Sun magazine next Wednesday.
Why do they do that? They
I don't know.
Gleefully spoil next week's soaps.
There's also like
awful.
an algorithm with it. If the headline has a question mark after it, it's not going to happen. If it's got an exclamation mark, it is going to happen. If it's got 3, Scott gets angry.
True, I hate that. Don't do that. I don't know any other entertainment medium where it's okay to spoil it.
Yeah, I know.
Before it's even ahead.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Wasn't there reports that people were actually angry that they didn't know that the little boy was the murderer in the thing? They actually
Yeah.
I'm annoyed that I didn't know before.
Well,
For those outside the
the beauty
country,
of live episodes.
for those outside the country, it was a big who killed so and so, and everyone was mad they didn't know.
Yeah.
That's the point.
And it basically turned out like the Simpsons episode from 25 years ago, where it was Maggie, and everyone went, "What?" And everyone was like, "Oh, it's the little boy."
It was.
What?
It was literally that. Though, wasn't
It was.
Stupid.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's Sam Strike.
What, the little boy?
Oh, the little boy.
I don't know how little he is.
Maybe that's how he became Leatherface. That's what they're writing in.
This is it.
This works.
Whoa, we've
I'm
shared
sold.
universe, right?
It works for me.
And finally, news that makes me incredibly happy, and I know Scott might be very happy about this. Thanks to Yahoo, the Uncertainty of Community Season 6 has been secured, and we have a trailer for Season 6, which is fulfilling the prophecy of 6 seasons and a movie. Adds new cast members Paget Brewster and Keith David, and it looks brilliant.
What do you mean I won't be happy?
I said you will.
Oh, sorry.
No, I said I'm sure you will be too.
I love Community.
I know, that's what I mean. So I'm very, very excited that we've got a trailer, and it's happening.
I love Community, and just because it's in-joke battle cry,
Yeah.
it just needs to have
does.
6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah.
So I was so relieved that Yahoo stepped up, and I'm very looking forward to watching them because I enjoyed the last season.
Yeah.
So good,
Brilliant.
good stuff.
Yay. That was the news.
Why do we say Yahoo and not Yahoo?
Yahoo. It's because when I played Super Mario Brothers 64, or Super Mario 64, I should say, he'd go, when you do your big long jump, he'd go, Yahoo!
But then you're saying Yahoo, not Yahoo.
Yahoo.
We always go Yahoo.
Yahoo! It's because
Yahoo!
it's because of
Yahoo.
Blur Song 2.
How do they say it in that?
That took me a second.
Woo! But again, that's more akin to Yahoo as opposed to Yahoo. I'm wondering where this R's coming from. Is it because we're sensible and we're saying, no, it's Yahoo.
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 Yahoo,
Run me a
not
bath. I don't know.
on the ground
I
piano.
don't even know.
Today on Weekly Geek Speak, I'm here with James Moroney. He's the co-creator of The Age. Welcome to Weekly Geek Speak.
Hey, thanks a lot, Andrew.
This comic, The Age, it's a brilliant indie story, and it tells us about superheroes, and it's kind of different the way it's delivered. Can you tell us a little bit about The Age and your involvement in it?
Yeah, well, I just like to I like to start with an overview because The Age follows the rise of these 5 distinct classes of superhumans called Spectrum, each with their own sets of powers and abilities, whose emergence ushers in a new age on Earth, which expands the physical, mental, and metaphysical limitations of humanity and alters the socio-political makeup of our world. The series actually starts 44 years after the birth of the first Spectrum.
Yeah.
As the anniversary of the birth of Brother Ghostin, who's the first Spectrum, approaches, a group of Spectrum teen outsiders in Alabama struggle to find their places in the world.
Yeah.
While a fateful meeting at Brother Ghostin's compound in upstate New York sets an inevitable chain of events in motion. So that's kind of a bit to digest right there, but I thought that I would just begin with the story that focuses on the teenagers themselves, just a seemingly random group of teenagers in America, and their struggles to find their place in the world, as we all do when we're teenagers.
It kind of tells the story of the birth of the superheroes, and in the first few pages of the graphic novel you sent, it really shows how segregated they are and how different and how physically different they are as well, and it's depicted brilliantly in the book. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Without giving too much away, I would kind of classify this as War and Peace meets the X-Men, in a sense, that we're going to be looking at characters within the larger machinations of society and the events that take place and those small people within those events. Now, the origin of this, in a sense, is I began thinking about people who have different abilities that we know. Some have athletic abilities, some have abilities within science, some are beautiful, right? Some are artists, some are engineers, some are unable to be classified. And I started to think about human evolution, in a sense, and how evolution always follows a pattern, a micro or macro pattern of evolution. So I didn't think there would just be some guy with claws over here and some lady who controls winds over here, and a furry beast that teleports, and a furry beast that's an acrobat. I thought that nature would follow more of a set pattern. So I thought about human characteristics and how they were different, and how evolution might chart along different lines. And then I thought, what if all this happened at once? What would happen in this world if not only we entered a space age or a new technological age, but we entered a new age of religious discovery, of scientific discovery, where the metaphysical limitations of humanity and the physical, mental limitations of humanity were expanded. And so that's how I came up with these 5 distinct classes of spectrums.
Obviously, the world around them reacts there immediately different, and you can physically see that in a great way on the page. You actually use these colours to stand out against the rest of the world, to show how unique they are. And this is an important bit when you came to create the age.
That's one of the things that Jim and I agreed on right away, and he does an absolutely fantastic job. I mean, I could not picture this comic being done by anybody else, and we agreed that all mediums have 1 or 2 things that they can do that other mediums can't do. And in this case, we could actually make the spectrums and give them their colors in a world that's otherwise black and white. We always were going to go with this color scheme of a black and white world in which the spectrums and their powers were in colors.
These superheroes, they team up, they get together and things, and you start going on this kind of adventure with them as young adults. And so it's kind of a teen story in there. What are you looking to tackle with this comic? Where are you going to take this? Obviously, without giving too much away.
Well, okay, we can break it down like this. Originally, this was going to be a 12-issue or 13-issue limited series, each of them being 30 to 32 pages. Now, as we went along and the story developed and the time constraints in creating 30 pages, we decided to create an ongoing limited series of about 5 to 6 issue story arcs. So in the first story arc, this is the story of the events leading up to Brother Ghoston's anniversary. Where the teenagers go, what they see, where Brother Ghoston goes, who he talks to, and at the same time introducing new characters and expanding the world of the age. I think of this almost as a jigsaw puzzle. With every issue, you're going to get more and more of the world of the age, an expansion of how this world works, or the people that are in this world, the events that have taken place, the leadership or the lack of thereof. While at the same time focusing on a core group of characters. So I'd say in the first story arc, we're focused on the teenagers and on Ghoston, on those 2 separate paths, and how they ultimately may converge.
Can you tell me a little about your path, your idea, how you came up with this, and what this means to you? I mean, why did you feel this story needed to be told?
Wow, now that's a good question. Again, I just wanted to explore. I mean, I'm fascinated with how society alters reality in a sense. And if I could use the broadest generalization, we could say the reality for Jewish people in sort of 1939 Germany would be much different than the reality for Jewish citizens in 1939 California. And so I'm always fascinated with how society shapes, in a sense, reality itself. And beyond that, that's the macro view. The micro view is I'm fascinated with how who we are, how we're born, in some senses dictates who we are or who we will become. And so if you were to take a look at the red spectrums, right, they're the group that are strong or fast or increasingly invulnerable, depending on how powerful they are, right? And so you can see this in real life. You've got Muhammad Ali, you've got Bruce Lee, you've got the Ultimate Fighting Championship fighters, and they have a sort of a natural, innate physical ability about them, and it shapes who they are, and it shapes who they become in this world. I know in Sheffield, if you have an athletic build and you're a tall guy, you're going to end up playing football, American football. If you naturally have an inclination towards mathematics and the sciences, more than likely you're going to enter into college and take a technical route and become an engineer, doctor, scientist, and so forth. And I'm always fascinated with these limitations that we have as people and how we can, in a sense, rise above them and how we fit into this world. So it came to me that when you're a teenager, that really is the moment in your life where you're trying to find your place in the world and who you are and who you will become.
And obviously in life you get the people who support the development and everything, but you also get the negative side, the jealousy and so forth. Is this something that's going to be addressed in the age as well? The fear of superheroes?
Yes. As a matter of fact, if you look at America right now, what we're going through with gay rights, you know, and even in the state of Alabama where they're trying to go against gay marriage, full bore in many cases. The judges here in Alabama, a number of them have refused to perform gay marriage ceremonies, right? So imagine the spectrums, what they do to the world. Not only are they new and different and of a different color, but their abilities make it to where it's not entirely possible to limit them. Let's just take a look at the red spectrum. Let's just say you're a teenager and you're as strong as an awesome of a fighter as Muhammad Ali or Bruce Lee. You know, it's not very likely that you're going to be allowed to, you know, to let yourself be picked on. So there's a give and take. There's what will become known as a spectrum crisis in America right now. And it weighs very heavily in American life. I'll say that.
It's great that that's been shown, and you can see it. It's put in a very black and white way in the book. Very physically, as you glance at it, the colours, they stand out. That's the most striking thing when you first turn the pages of this book. I think that's a really strong choice and really puts that across. Now, the problem you have now, though, is when it comes to indie comics, they're very hard to get out there. So how are you trying to sell this to the world? How difficult has it been?
Well, you've got to look now. We live in the digital age, so luckily there's a Comixology, and so the comic is for sale through Comixology, and there's nothing up front on the creators to put that out there. You just have to make sure everything's formatted correctly, and that sort of thing. Now, the print medium, though, is impossible. The way we were printing these, for example, we fulfilled Kickstarter rewards, and we printed up copies of issue number 1. It was close to $4 to print them and ship them, and in America you wouldn't really want to sell a comic for more than $3.99 in U.S. dollars. So right now we're in a digital. We're focused on getting it out there, get our first story arc together, and then looking for a publisher to bring us to print. Is
this your first big work, or have you been working on writing before?
It is, but I didn't. I've been writing short stories, maybe prose poems, the occasional short script. I always wanted to write comics, and I just couldn't find a way to do it until the internet came along, and then there's a way where you can reach out to people, you know, all over the world. For example, I went to Dragon Con in Atlanta looking for an artist. And I just didn't have any luck. I went to the artist panel. I went down to the comic artist alley. I just didn't really have any. Didn't have any luck. It wasn't until I did a little bit of online research and took out an ad in digital webbing that I was able to find an artist who's synced with the story. Who's Jim Rogers is. I mean, he is half of this story now. He's expanded it in so many ways. Just beyond just his drawings. I mean, just the ideas that he brings to the table, the way the characters are shaped, story ideas. He changes the script up, and so it's always an evolving process. But I've got to say, we live in a great, age for reading comics with so much available online. We're not quitting our day jobs. How about that? We're not quitting our day jobs, but this is something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, you have to put so much in outside, but it's always worthwhile because every indie writer or filmmaker, I think there's so much passion, and the product that comes out the other end it are so unique. And I think you see a lot of the norm in mainstream because that is safe, but you get these fantastic ideas coming out in indie comics and in indie short films and so forth that you just wouldn't see otherwise, and this is definitely the case when it comes to the age. Where can our listeners find out a bit more about? Where can they find out about you and the comic?
beyond the comic being available on Comixology, we've just now set up a Tumblr page.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a Facebook page for the Age, and I sometimes have write for my own blog, Tales of the Sad Old Bastard Brigade, every once in a while. But you can find us. You can find us on Facebook or on Tumblr, or you can find issue number 1 on Comixology. Jim's working hard on issue number 2 now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm through issue number 3 since we broke it down from 30 pages to 22 pages.
Mm.
It kind of gave me, and we're able to expand the story itself, and everything's not going to be as compressed as it was. And I think people are really going to enjoy it as they go along. They get to feel these characters, you know. They get to rooting for these characters. They want to find out where it's going. So I agree that being indie, there's nothing to stop us from going anywhere we want to go.
Yeah. Other than, obviously, X-Men's a huge part in here, but what were your influences going in when it came to writing it?
Yeah, you've got to basically say the X-Men, the idea of mutants, I think, is absolutely brilliant idea.
Mm.
Going back, the idea that human evolution will chart along certain lines, and that we will change. And yet, I wasn't going to tell that story. You know, I was wanting to say, if we took a more scientific approach, and I wanted to also chart the stories of people within events larger than themselves.
Mm.
And so I would say X-Men meets War and Peace would be a pretty apt description of what it is.
Mm. Go on Comixology and check this out. It's a really interesting book. It's visually strong. It's political. It's looking at society, and it's going into all those areas. And it's also a great lot of fun in there as well. You've obviously got a lot planned for the Age, but have you got any other projects in mind, or is your mind totally set on the Age at the moment?
Well, I've got a couple of more projects in the works, but being an indie creator, I believe in paying the artists for their work, and very strongly. So when you're a writer of comic books, it's about the same as being a blind painter.
Yeah.
In a sense, we get nowhere without it, without the visual look. So I have to set aside funds for the cover artists, for the lettering and the production and the artwork, interior pages. I don't want Jim just working for free. So it's a matter, oddly enough, sometimes of finances dictating what you're able to do with a medium that requires more than one person to create.
Yeah.
So with film, you would have a medium you don't have to pay the crew, cast, etc. But if you're just a writer of prose, then all you have to pay for is basically, I don't know, a computer and a printer.
Mm.
So I've got more projects in the works, but they may wait till next year to come out.
Good stuff. Well, keep us posted. Thank you very much for joining us. Check out on our website, we'll have more details on the Age, and we'll be following your progress as you go, because you hooked me on the first one. I'll definitely be sticking with it. Again, thank you very much for joining us.
No, thank you, Andrew.
Before we go on to what we normally do at this point in the show, I just wanted to address a blog by Andrew Hunt that's on our website, which I thought was a really good read, about is Civil War. The title of the blog is Civil War the most important Marvel movie yet? Just wanted to talk about that for a few minutes.
Is that Captain America 3 with all the superheroes?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Possibly changes the whole game. We already know what's happening in coming to the end of Phase 2. Civil War does change everything.
A fear I've had for a while, fear is a strong word, but the big grand experiment, which has been an unmitigated success, and it's been brilliant to watch and be a fan of. The problem is, you've only got actors for so many films, and people get older and people get fed up, and you're going to have to recast. So there's a lot of interesting hurdles coming up. We've already kind of seen a bit of it with a lot of the Robert Downey Jr. negotiations and stuff. So they've clearly got him for the Avengers films, and they've convinced him to do Civil War, but what's the future after that? Captain America, etc. Your core Avengers, the ones that helped you build this grand world, are going to come to the end of their cycle. So what do? Do you recast? Do you write them out? Do you try and shift focus to other people? And I think Civil War will be the beginning of some of that. That sort of because we've got a lot of new, quote unquote, new guard coming, like Black Panther and Doctor Strange and the Inhumans, Captain Marvel. Obviously, they'll all come back for Infinity War and stuff. But yes, Guardians is one, and they're hoping Ant-Man is another. But past your Avengers, you've not established a new group yet to be able to get rid of some of these old gods. They still really do rely on Iron Man. So they're going to have to be really clever about it. So in many ways, it really is, yeah. And it certainly is the most important of the Phase 3. And I think it'll be the most important for Infinity War. And I'm fascinated. I was fascinated before we got to Spider-Man. So you've got Spider-Man and that deal, and you've got what's going to happen to Captain America, and you've got Iron Man, what's going to happen to him, where the other Avengers stand in this. I do think it's become weirdly bigger than Avengers 2 at the minute. By the way, it's almost like the film that will shake up. Like, Ultron's almost leading up to this now in a way. As apocalyptic and larger than life and epic and brilliant as that all seems. So yes, he's right. He's very much right. Although the irony is, I'm a superhero fan. I love it all, and I just want more, and more begets more. And I love Marvel to do that. But there's a lot of weird Marvel fans who are anti-DC, and there's a lot of DC anti-Marvel. I'm not playing that. And one was like, "Oh, the thing is with DC, they just put Batman in everything," which made me laugh because this is literally the first time they're going to put Batman in it when it's not a Batman film. But I just thought, but that's what Marvel do with Iron Man. If we're being funny, but that because it works and it helps support other characters and put other characters over. Which is what you need to do in these
you need
cases.
that underpinning.
It's just business acumen. He's the A-lister of that universe they've created. That's why they use him or reference him in almost everything.
Well, it's X-Men and Wolverine as well. They do the same.
Yeah,
more so.
We're doing a thing. Let's shoehorn Wolverine into this.
He's just a linchpin, and he's literally the foundation that built it off the Iron Man film.
Definitely.
So I just thought that was a really weird sort of hypocritical criticism, but of DC. But you have to. We're getting to a stage they have. I think it will be fine, but they have to work out how they can slowly phase out Iron Man, or to a point where at least they're not sort of relying on Robert Downey Jr. specifically, if they still rely on Tony Stark. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
The other thing is when you look at the past and how when we had Avengers, the first one finished, we didn't really know what we knew there was going to be an Avengers 2, but we didn't know much beyond that. It was kind of we've kind of achieved our aim where we're going for this. And now you actually look at Captain America 2 and Iron Man 3 to an extent, and how they have actually laid the way for this film. Is that, but we didn't know that was going to happen. We watch Iron Man 3 and go, oh, that was fine, but actually now we look back, we can see the events that happen in that are kind of linking to what's going to happen in Ultron. There's foreshadowing in there, I think. And then Captain America 2 just kind of went, well, you're right, I'm getting rid of S.H.I.E.L.D., things are being shaken up, everything you've gone to know is kind of not now. But now we kind of know that what kind of will happen in Age of Ultron, where it's going in Civil War. You've got to hope that Marvel have some more, and I'm sure they do, twists and turns up their sleeve, because we kind of feel like we've got our plan set out for us now.
Well, I think my guess would be, after the events of Ultron and Tony Stark being guilt-ridden and responsible for it, he'll have the best intentions to go a bit far, and Captain America, being the embodiment of sort of liberty and of freedom as he is, will see it going a bit far, because that's with the Superhero Registration Act in the book, which divides them. Iron Man thinks, we should all be registered and above board and government sanctioned, because otherwise we scare people and we're out of control. But Captain America's like, but we're free people. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it comes to a head, and Spider-Man's a great avatar. at first he gets his ear bent by Iron Man, and eventually he sides with Captain America. It's a mind over soul debate that highlights the sort of tensions that were happening in the post 9/11 America and stuff.
Yeah.
So I expect at least that similar dynamic, if not the same issues, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You have to you have to see Iron Man's point enough that he's just not a villain. Whilst I think it's quite fundamental you side with Captain America.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
And by the end of that film, something huge will happen that will change everything.
Definitely.
That is guaranteed.
So yeah, read the blog. It's on our website, weeklygeekspeak.com, and put your comments on, share your views, tweet us at weeklygeekspeak. Thank you very much, Andy, for that. But now we move to the great book, the Bumpy Goose book, which is a book I wrote with my sister when I was a young chap. It's horror stories based on the world of Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Steve reads them, Scott laughs.
Roland's spaceship. Roland Fallover was always working in her cupboard. She was making a spaceship. It would take her somewhere nobody else was. She wanted to go where nobody else was so that she could read her book without her brother bothering her.
Well, she doesn't need no one else. She needs somewhere
I
her
don't
brother
know
isn't.
how her brother maybe always
I'll
finds a
tell you
way.
where your brother is, at the ladies' bathroom. You
I
didn't
don't
need to
know.
make a machine. It was pointless.
Scrap this story.
No.
What on earth are you doing? Said her brother, Ricky. I'm building a spaceship, she always replied.
Always.
Always.
Regardless
Yeah.
of what she was doing.
Got a cup of tea. I'm building a spaceship. Weird. I'm going to the loo, so don't come in. Then I'm going to ride your horse, he said.
See, so he clearly respects the toilet thing. So she could just
Yeah,
go to the
definitely.
bathroom
Yeah,
and read.
good point.
Tell you.
Wow, how extremely interesting. Like, I really needed to know that, didn't I? She replied.
Oh, a deadpan. Yeah.
To read that line actually as a plastic from Mean Girls.
Wow, how extremely interesting. Like, I really needed to know that, didn't I? It's like,
Oh.
bang, hammer, hammer, bang, bang. She made a big load of noise.
She made a song.
And she-
She made an R&B drum and bass.
I think Fergie
I
copied
rewind-
that one, didn't she?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry.
drop the beat, Steve.
Bang, bang, hammer, hammer, bang, bang.
Bang, bang, hammer, hammer, bang, bang. Bang, bang, hammer, hammer, bang, bang.
We are Weekly Geek
Something
Speak.
like
We are Weekly
phenomenal.
Geek Speak. Hammer bang bang. Yeah. Dropping some bass.
Throwing the beat.
I'm getting down with the kids.
Drop beats, not bombs, yo.
She made a big load of noise as she put the interstellar boosters on.
The Interstellar Boosters.
On the 19th of July, she waved bye-bye to her house and flew off.
Again, that's one of those sentences. It's not a big deal, but it
It's
gives
very-
you a little window into this child. Like, what's important? The important thing is the day it happened and the fact she left.
Yeah.
I can't create any imagery. Oh,
I know, it's important to know when she left. Duh.
God.
Like, totally.
Oh my God. She was about 2 light seconds away from Saturn when there was
what's a light second?
How far does it light travel in a
travels
second? Yeah.
Okay, like a light year.
2 light seconds from Saturn when there was a kaboom! A space serpent ate her and her ship.
Is that the thing round Saturn?
Yeah.
I'll show you the picture in a minute with us. She was sad because after all her hard work, she'd forgotten her book. Oops.
Yeah, that's the
The
Saturn.
end.
Yeah, as your spaceship tears around you and you're engulfed and slowly digested by a space serpent who has no real right to exist, you would think, oh, they read. What book was it?
I don't know. But the large
oh.
green monster with a big pink tongue.
I like the spaceship.
I like the spaceship. The interstellar
spaceship.
boosters are good.
Some great still do.
That's amazing.
There we are. That was Roland's spaceship. Scott, that's a nice drink. But Steve, what time is it?
It's time for This Week The Geeks Have Spoken.
Yeah,
Ah.
I mean, yeah.
If you
Ah.
don't get more energy, we will criticise you.
You've got to
Oh,
go.
no.
Ba-ba-da-ba.
Okay.
Here we go.
Steve, what time is it?
This week The Geeks Have Spoken.
Yeah.
God.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
So
I'll take it here.
Okay.
Boom boom hammer hammer boom 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 hammer hammer boom boom.
Next week.
Time for the geeks. Time for the geeks to speak. Boom boom hammer boom. You kind of left me hanging there. The beats went.
I got into it. I was dancing. I liked it. Thank you, as always, for all your tweets, 3-word reviews, interactions, and things. Keep them coming in. We love it.
Someone showed us pictures of things.
It. Things and stuffs.
Okay.
Whoa. We'll start, as always, with Pete Bushbauer and the king of 3-word reviews at Popular Outcast.
There's two of them.
There is.
Because you said "and the,"
Oh.
implying there was two separate entities.
Maybe there is.
So it's not just the Bumpy Goose stories he picked away at.
Wait a minute. So he saw Nightcrawler. Gyllenhaal's fucking crazy. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it's really good.
I have it lined up to watch.
It's just got that air of creep to it, and it's really disturbing. And Gyllenhaal's brilliant in it. I agree with all that.
That's one that passed me by. The Box Trolls, Pet Box Troll, please. 8 out of 10. I would thoroughly agree with that. Beautiful film I've spoke about before, but either of you guys?
I
got round
haven't.
to seeing it.
A lot of people say it should have won the Oscar ahead of Big Hero 6. So I'm now, having seen Big Hero 6, I'm now intrigued to watch Box Trolls a bit more than I was.
It's lovely. ABCs of Death 2, painfully average gore fest. 4 out of 10.
Completely agree.
Totally agree. It just, yeah. Knucklehead, WWE does comedy.
Yeah, it's
5 out of 10.
Big Show, isn't it?
Right. Have you, any...
The Big Show is he was Captain Insane in
Waterboy. Okay.
And he's also, I think he's one of the big Santas in Jingle All the Way.
Right. Okay.
His big claims to I think he was in Little Hercules. I have a weird sort of Rolodex of films wrestlers have been in.
There's a pattern. So thank you for those. Spike Yawns at Spike Yawns. Boyhood left cinema older. 8 out of 10.
But yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
For every film.
But yeah, it's one that I'm not sure about. It could either be brilliant or just okay.
I reckon it's probably really good, but I think the sort of, I'm not going to call it a gimmick, but the artistic decision to sort of film it over a period of years to show real aging, I think has probably helped it a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think people are just reviewing it for that one reason.
Yeah.
It must be quite sweet or have something about it.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. Man of many names at Sparky Wright, whose chosen name this week is Ted Throttlecock, which I think is one of my favourite.
I come from a long line of throttlecocks.
My father was a throttlecock.
My grandfather was a throttlecock.
My mother regularly throttlecock.
Well, you know, they always say surnames comes from like your sort of medieval profession, so you must have just wanked people off in toilets.
As an aside to battles, come in here and all. So yeah, saw Godzilla, monster with character, 7.547 out of 10. I love it.
Trolling.
I love it.
He's trolling
I love
him.
it. At Run Roller Run, Freya saw Chappie, Teenage Robot Angst, or Suspend All Disbelief, or Good Then Crappy.
How do you feel about these?
Maybe 5.5 out of 10.
How do you feel about this multiple choice reword?
This again is commit to one. Because you've just basically done a review.
Yeah. And said it's
sticking
all right.
more in between.
But we deeply appreciate them.
We deeply appreciate them.
As long as you don't put more than one exclamation mark. And even then, be choice about it, because people are... You abuse those things.
Right. Her niece's 3-word review of Shaun the Sheep, jump up and down, very, 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 very good out of 10. And Freya's was definitely not bad.
Right.
10.5 out of 10.
Well, your niece is stupid. That's not even a number.
Jump up and down. It's
Okay.
4 words.
Yeah. So
No, but we actually had the answer to that. The and was an ampersand.
Yes.
So it was a symbol. So it was allowed. And I think that's the best number. I'd rather have that as an out of 10 than 6.32.
And also,
it's not
I'm being very facetious. It's actually incredibly sweet.
It is.
Touched my heart.
Yeah, it's lovely.
But she should grow up. What's she, 15?
Is that the end of the 3-word review?
It's the end of the 3-word reviews, yes.
Can I do some?
Do.
Because I was never allowed to do them.
Go.
Masters of the Universe.
Oh.
Flash's cheesy cousin. 7 out of 10.
Nice.
Flash Gordon.
Wayne's
Flash.
World. Party Time. Excellent. 7 out of 10.
True.
Yeah.
21 Jump Street. Channing Hill Lollapalooza. 7 out of 10. Big Hero 6. Fun but samey. 7 out of 10. Apocalypse Now. Cinema's messiest masterpiece. 7 out of 10.
I like that.
Freaky Friday. Like, totally entertaining.
That was on. Was that on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was. Yeah, it was on. I saw it was on, but I didn't watch enough for it to count.
7 out of 10. Silence of the Lambs. The
So,
Benchmark Thriller.
Out of Freaky Friday and Apocalypse Now, you opted for Apocalypse Now.
Yes, I'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay.
And Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. I love Romy. 7 out of 10.
I liked that
That didn't
film.
make this better.
I liked that film.
It's
Very-
fine. I remember liking that film.
It's-
Look, here we are. Then.
Go
The
on.
reason why Freaky Friday was over Apocalypse Now is because Jamie Lee Curtis just plays that so well. Like, really well. I sat there like, woo, all the way through enjoying it. I was having a Freaky Friday on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Cool.
And Romy and Michelle, I'm so in love with Romy. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm so in love with Romy.
I get it. I do
I
get it.
So, unfortunately, Martin Sheen's classic masterpiece is put to one side for Freaky Friday. Lindsay Lohan's best film?
Mean Girls.
I've never gone with Mean Girls. But,
Mean Girls is
Mean
better than
Girls.
Freaky Friday. Yeah,
So yeah, that was sacrilege.
Nice. I like it.
And The Parent Trap. I always like The Parent Trap.
Yeah, it's okay.
And you all know, I've told this when I brought up Katy Perry, there's a teenage girl trapped inside me.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
should have been the other way around.
Okay.
I told you that at the time, and you cut it out.
Cut it out.
Moving on!
And now I know why.
At the Broadfield pub in Sheffield, I randomly left a riddle on a beer mat with a hashtag Broadfield draw. What has a thumb and 4 fingers but is not alive? And they tweeted back, and at Jack_Bendel, who's a designer and artist, somethingheresoon.com, check him out. They tweeted, and it's a glove. So thank you for replying. We just left it as a joke in a draw. But yeah, look out for more. That's what I'm saying. Superfan Robbie Polanco at Robbie_Polanco. RIP Leonard Nimoy. He will never be forgotten. In reference to last week's episode and the passing of Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
I can watch Adventure Time all day. There was a
That was a separate tweet, it wasn't.
a reference back to
Rest in peace, Leonard Nimoy. I could watch
Adventure Time
Time.
all day. That was a separate
Rest
tweet.
in peace, Terry
And,
Pratchett. I'm
and he also
feeling
said-
peckish. I'm going to the bath.
Closely followed by, you're right, Breakfast Club episode. Nothing is sacred these days when it comes to rebooting films.
No, we know that. Back to
We
the
know
Future
that.
is the only
Just
one that lasts.
sometimes I forget what was said. So you hear like something like that and I go, did we say that?
Did we talk about that?
But we will have.
Ted Throttlecock, just so I can say it again. Happy birthday for the 10th of March. Hope you had a good birthday.
Happy birthday, Sparky.
Happy
Sparky
birthday.
right. At Wasted the Show, half an hour comedy about a group of diverse Canadians fighting zombies, tweeted us and just said, I have the power, in response to our podcast. So thank you for that. I've downloaded a couple of episodes because it does sound really good. So
Cool, we'll
I'll
let
be
you know
checking
what
it
I
out and I'll let you know what I think. Daniel Buckley at Uzowl, this deserves endless retweets, and did an episode 7 poster. Tweeted as a picture of the Star Wars episode 7 poster of Darth Vader.
It isn't the
It's
official
not
one.
the
No, it's not an
official
official one, but
They just
it
found
was
it,
incredible.
It's cool.
Yeah. At Nerdo, the t-shirt store, Evil Dead inspired t-shirt with the moose head and the ha 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 was brilliant, so I just thought that I needed a shout.
Always used to freak me out, that moose.
Yeah. Vip at Vip1990. Scott, what on earth are you doing to Sonic? Hilarious video though, guys, but leave Sonic in the hands of Dan next time, Scott.
And yeah,
But yeah,
I've heard that a
what have you
lot.
done to Sonic?
I've heard that a lot. But it's just because for the first 5 seconds or so, I particularly bad, and then we're not good at the special stages. But after that, me and Dan are fairly even.
Yeah.
Why am I getting all
You
the
are.
crap?
He died early on in the second episode when the wall came in, but whenever the wall comes in, that is terrible.
Yeah, it's not fair to judge.
I'd like to just point out, if you haven't seen, Scott and Dan are YouTube guys. I've been YouTubering some great games. You can see them on, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Weekly Geek Speak. You have been playing Pokemon, you've been playing Sonic 3, you've been playing that mental Smash Brothers game.
Yep.
And Hyrule Warriors, is
Hyrule
it?
Warriors.
Yep.
Which I've never heard of, and I really enjoy that one because you follow Dan, and Dan's going around, as Dan does, trying to find the story and the chests and things, and in the background you can just see you swinging your sword around going, whee! Having a very good time destroying things. It's really funny.
ace.
I enjoyed that one a lot.
Incredibly
But
good.
you were terrible in Sonic, you should just stop. No,
Gosh.
I'm kidding.
I
I'm
didn't
kidding.
think I was that.
I know, I didn't think you were. I just wanted to load on the criticism.
It's called Sonic Masters. There was an in-joke of us not being particularly good, but I thought it'd be a bit at least levelled out. A bit like, oh, you guys aren't good. Not, Scott, never play it again and let Dan do it.
You have offended YouTube.
You have offended me,
God.
Sega, Nintendo. It's a funny video though.
It is good.
So I
haven't
don't
seen it,
mind.
check
I
it.
don't mind.
Ow.
Just, I know people.
What have you got up your pants?
Well,
Next episode.
certainly not blowing smoke up there, are you? We've got more Hyrule Warriors, more Sonic 3. We're going to play Captain America and the Avengers, a Sonic, Sega game I had as a kid that I loved, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, the video game.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Looking forward to those. If you have any classic games you want to suggest to Scott and Dan, please do at Weekly Geek Speak.
But you've got to beat Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, the video game. So good luck, people.
Good luck. Bex at Arbitrary Genius tweeted another recipe that she'd made, which looked incredible. A test bat cake she did for Halloween of the Batman logo inside the
Oh, I
cake.
saw that.
It was
Looked brilliant.
amazing. They have put all the recipe they've used on our Facebook page, and we have put that out there. So if you want to check out all of their recipes and cakes,
I would. The other day I had a weird urge to bake, but I never have any of the ingredients, and my urge does not go as far as to do anything other than hope they're somehow vaguely in my kitchen.
Right, Scott, you're coming to my house on Thursday. You're coming a bit earlier than you'll be there. Why don't we get some baking on?
Shall we bake?
Should we
get
do
our
some
bake on?
We'll do at least 2 bakes and then
Two
Steve can
bakes.
taste them.
Gonna do a blind bake.
And we can make
Don't
them
tell me
geeky.
who
We
made
have to
them.
make them geeky. We've got this.
Yeah.
will be for Arbitrary Genius because you've inspired us with
You
your
have
cooking.
completely.
Me and Scott are going to
Yeah.
have a bake off, and you're going to choose. Or we'll probably end up rolling around playing something on the N64 and
Yeah.
not play.
Oh, what'll happen is I'll be sat with you going, did you mention we were going to bake? Yeah, I should edit that out.
We'll see. Let's see what
We will.
happens.
And lastly, just a quick shout to a couple of new followers. Storybreakers at Storybreakers. Storybreakers.ie is their website. There's a
What are
new...
they
How many
called?
times can you say
Oh, I
Storybreakers?
know, yeah. Wait, say their name, say their Twitter handle, and say their website.
It makes it stick in people's heads. That's
yeah.
what you're doing. You're selling.
You mean like us, Weekly Geek Speak? We are at Weekly Geek Speak
Speak,
at Twitter
with
handle.
Weekly Geek Speak, yeah.
And we've got the weeklygeekspeak.com
Oh,
podcast
good.
there. You can subscribe on like Weekly Geek
can.
Speak. YouTube, Stitcher,
So, yeah.
iTunes,
You know,
podcast,
sometimes when you
Spreaker.
say something so many times, it stops making sense anymore.
With
What are they called, Gav?
Weekly Geek Speak. You can check them out. There's a new film plot every episode, and they basically come up with a film plot and a cast and discuss this
No, I actually
film
forgot
plot.
their name.
Storybreakers.
Storybreakers.
Storybreakers. So it
Yeah.
didn't work.
Again,
do it
about-
harder next time.
You got confused because I was talking about Weekly Geek Speak,
Yeah.
which we're also available on Facebook.
Also available Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, and
please-
T-shirts. As
please.
Scott is modelling now.
Like, comment,
Available
and
now.
subscribe and review on
We
any.
saw 2 more this weekend.
Do it. Nice.
To these lovely podcasts.
Oh yeah, we did.
which I'm not allowed to meet.
No. That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
That's it.
that's a way to end the podcast.
Thanks
Yeah.
for the thanks for all your shout-outs and interactions and tweets and reviews.
Imagine this were live, right? So you've done a big show,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Would you just go, that's it, and then walk off stage?
drops mic.
That was the equivalent of
That was my mic drop. That was all the shouts. Thank you kindly.
Don't help him.
All of them.
Don't help him, Andrew. He's gonna usher us out into that great night.
So thank you kindly for all of your shout-outs. You can tweet us at Weekly Geek Speak in case we didn't mention it enough just then. Thanks to everyone for listening. Hopefully, if you're a new listener, you'll stay with us and tweet us, iTunes review, Facebook, website weeklygeekspeak.com. You are all awesome, lovely, geeky people.
You know what? That was all right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And just always be careful when taking selfies in toilets. That's it. Thank you very much for listening.